All right. What's up, everybody? This is episode 108 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting us thus far. For those who haven't seen any of our episodes, go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But before we start, we got to pay some bills and shout out our sponsor, the Players Circle. This episode is sponsored by the Players Circle. I discovered the Players Circle in the App Store when trying to find a product to track athletes. The Players Circle is a social video platform where players can share their stats, highlights, and accomplishments. If you can hoop and you want to get discovered, then you should join the Players Circle. Everybody go on the App Store, download the Players Circle. Some of the nation's best players have this app on their phones right now, so definitely join the Players Circle. But without further ado, we have a very special guest tonight. He hails from the state of Tennessee and has been involved with some great events over the years. He's been the founder, he's the man behind the Iverson Classic, the Big Strick Classic, and the event that happened this past December in Tennessee, the Iverson Classic in the Bluff. He's also the executive producer of the new documentary that just dropped today on Showtime Basketball. But without further ado, we have with us Mr. Bobby Bates. Bobby, thank you for coming on to share your story, man.
What's going on, Dave? It's a pleasure, my man.
Indeed. So let's get started. What is your earliest memory of basketball? Like, when did basketball first start for you?
And I guess I pretty much come out the womb with a basketball in my hand, my man. It's been a part of my life ever since I was born. You know,
Okay.
I had parents that played ball, and then always been around it. So.
Indeed. So, what part of Tennessee are you from, and what's the basketball culture like out there?
Man, I guess you would say I'm from all over Tennessee. I was, I guess I would call home Waverly, Tennessee, a small town, poverty-stricken, about 4,100 people's the population still to this day. I live in Murfreesboro. Grew up in West Tennessee, Jackson, Lawrenceburg, lived in Chattanooga, lived in Columbia, bounced around all over the state, but, roots truly from that West Tennessee area in Middle Tennessee through and through.
What was the town that you grew up in?
Well, I bounced around so much, us being just the way I came up.
Okay.
Not having a lot, whatnot, but call home Waverly, Tennessee. It's a very small town, country town, rural town, but, a hard way of life down there, man.
Waverly, Tennessee?
Waverly.
Oh, Waverly. I got you. So, yeah, man. So you said that you came up with the game. Talk about, what were some tournaments that you played in as a youth? Or, like, did you play for your local high school?
Yeah, I played, but, my thing is we bounced around so much. I played in, like I said, from rec leagues to, in the park 24/7. Like, I cut my teeth in the game, playing in the park, shooting in the wherever we could hoop, really. I mean, it's just anywhere. Anywhere there was a basketball, it didn't matter if we had to nail it to a tree, nail it to a light post. I mean, we would, cut crates out. If the rims got pulled down somewhere, we were playing ball, and we get a ladder and, climb up, and we spray paint a square, and that'd be our hoop. It just anywhere we could play. And, I played in a lot of different things. I played camps coming up. I got invited to Kentucky camp back in the day. I got invited to, a number of camps, a couple of All-American camps and stuff coming up. But then, as things progress, just a way of life where I'm from kind of led me down a different path. And, I feel like it helped mold me into the man I am today. But, life wasn't always easy, wasn't always great, but it helped steer me in this direction. I can truly say that basketball was my first love, and at the end of the day, probably saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
From some of the roads I would have went down and did go down realistically. But, you know, at the end of the day, I steered away from the game for a couple years in my late teens, early 20s. But then, yeah, you know, it come back full-fledged, and it's been something I've been doing ever since, man.
Indeed. So when you went to the Kentucky basketball camp, who was the coach at that time?
Tubby back in the day.
So you were around. So this was late 90s, early 2000s?
Late 90s, in the 90s.
Nice. All right, cool. So let's talk about let's go, like, when did you start getting into promoting events?
Man, I've been doing stuff a long time. You know, I started you know, I was doing stuff on a smaller scale down here. One of my thoughts, and this has been many years ago, was I felt like the kids and the players like from Tennessee didn't get enough recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to do some stuff and with media, whatnot, just trying to help the young men get their name out. Always been around, man, doing stuff. And then, you know, started doing bigger events, like on a large scale over a decade ago, well over a decade ago. But I've been like entrenched in this thing for, you know, the better part of my life, and been around it. I've seen them all, like from, you know, watching the guys, whether it be film whenever I was coming up or whatever. Like I felt like scouted and really had an eye for talent, even whenever I was a young fella. Like, man, I pay homage to all the greats, and I followed them all, you know, basically every step of their career, you know, I'd say for the last 25 plus years.
Yeah, man, that's big right there. Now, you know, let's talk about the origins of the Big Strick Classic. You know, how did you come and meet, you know, John Strickland when he was alive?
Man, I'll tell you what happened, man, is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was in the mid 2000s, I was doing stuff with Lenny Cook back then. You know, I was trying to help Lenny come back. And, you know, I was beating on a lot of doors, and Lenny and I established a relationship that still exists to this day, an extremely close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, through my relationship with him, I met other people. And, you know, whenever John passed away, myself, Mousy there in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and primarily Don Sparks and Sherman Wing, we all got together, and, you know, they knew I was connected to a lot of people, a lot of talent, and, you know, could get things done. So it just made sense. And, you know, at the end of the day, we wanted to pay homage to a legend, and John. So it made sense for us to all come together and put the Big Strick together. And then, you know, at the time, New York City basketball was really on a downslide. Like, a lot of folks
Mm-hmm.
were saying that the talent just wasn't the same as it used to be. And, you know, a lot of the tournaments weren't the same. And so we just had the idea, instead of like doing it something like, you know, for the older crowd, why not make this about the youth? And that's what you know, high school basketball there for a minute was kind of dormant. And then this just helps spark something that was bigger than all of us at the end of the day. You know, it took a life of its own after year one. You know, initially whenever we came in, we called it the Franchise Classic, year one. And then after year one, we changed the name to the Big Strick Classic, which it stayed. What did we do, Dave? 6, 7 of them?
Guess the last, when was the last one? 2016?
Somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
We did 6 or 7 of them. And the thing was, is, you know, this is what's so ironic is, you know, I had and have to this day, a world of respect for Mr. Tom Konchowski.
Yes.
Unbelievable man. And you know, Tom and I used to talk on a quite regular basis, and you know, him and Sonny Vaccaro really are the only two men in this basketball thing that I ever took any real advice from. And before Tom had got sick and before COVID had hit, Tom had asked me to bring back Big Strick. And you know, so there were serious thoughts about coming back to the city and doing Big Strick or doing something similar. You know, I had a very close friend of mine in George Briscoe that passed away as well, Isaiah Briscoe. Unbelievable man, great man. You know, him and I always referred to each other as my main man.
Yeah.
And you know, so I had thoughts of doing something there potentially too, you know, paying homage to George, you know, the Big Strick, like everything rolling in together, because, you know, one of the things George used to ask me a lot was Bobby, you know, whenever Isaiah does everything he's going to do, would you be willing to like kind of name the Big Strick after Isaiah or do something like that? So we had those conversations. And then Tom was telling me, like, Bobby, you know, New York City misses you right now, because even though there are other events and stuff going on in the time, there was nothing really quite like the Big Strick Classic. You know, I'm the first dude that was really bringing pros on top of pros on top of pros at the high school level.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I always got pumped for that event. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the first year you guys had it at City College, if I'm not mistaken.
We actually were going to do it down there at Mousie's Park year one. Then it rained. Then we have last minute, like very last minute, it starts raining, and we ended up having to move it to an indoor.
In Highbridge. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
And I mean, it was late at night. You know, it was chaos. But at the end of the day, you know, once the ball tipped, man, it was an unbelievable game. It was tight. It was a smaller, intimate environment because, you know, the whole crowd that was there to watch it at the park couldn't really move to where we had to move to. So then we still had a good crowd in there, but it was a smaller venue, more intimate. And I mean, the game was unbelievable. Like, you know, after year one, it's like, man, there's no way we don't do this again and again and again. And, you know, it's something that's lost on a lot of people, man. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of work to make something like that happen. And it takes a lot of money too. And sometimes, you know, you don't always walk out on the better side of things when it comes to that, because, you know, like Big Strick, we made it free to the public. It was never about, you know, trying to capitalize off everything per se.
Right.
Like that. You know, you got sponsors that help take care of stuff and stuff like that. But, you know, we made it to where like the community can come out and don't have to worry about if little fella around the way ain't got $15, $20 to be able to walk through the door, he can still walk through the door and see something like he might not have ever seen in his life.
Yeah. I agree with that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that should be open to the community, you know. Slam wound up doing that same thing later on. But yeah.
You know, we still paid the way at the end of the day. And
yeah, you did.
I'll tell you this. I love what Slam's doing. You know, Dennis Page, the founder over there at Slam, is a very, very good friend of mine. I was talking to him the other day, and, you know, our conversations aren't always about basketball. A lot of times they're about life. So, you know, and that's one thing, like in this basketball thing, man, people got to realize is there's so many relationships that are built through this that grow well beyond the game of basketball. And, you know, truly you start asking about each other's families and stuff like that. It's a beautiful thing what this game does, man.
Yeah, man. And honestly, like, getting back to the point that you were making about, you know, not charging the general public, you know, you guys had it good because some kids wouldn't be able to go to the Jordan Brand Classic or the McDonald's All-American game, you know, because these places are held. These events are held in big arenas.
Right.
With you guys held it in places like Gaucho's Gym, the Armory, City College. You guys made it accessible to the local community.
And see, I love that, man. Like that this the thing, man. People get lost in that 20,000 seat arena, man. I'd rather be somewhere 3,000 to 5,000 seats tops, 2,500 seats. And the electricity in the building is altogether different, man. Like,
yeah,
you walk into an NBA arena, Dave, you've been there, I've been there, and it just feels different whenever you walk in somewhere like we're talking about, like walking into the Gaucho's Gym, and you pulling up in front of the doors in the streets and parking right down the streets and walking through the doors and like there's truly a feeling of, man, like I'm walking in somewhere that's like special. Like this is different. And then you walk up the stairs, man, and you walk in there and you see Madison Square Garden on the floor, and you look up in the rafters and you see all the great names from Kareem to Steph to Kenny Anderson and Chris Mullin, Mark Jackson, all these guys, man, like the list goes on and on and on. It's just different. And then the crowd can be itself in a place like this, to where, you go to the Garden, you don't get the same energy from the crowd.
You really don't, yeah. And I saw that in like recent years, well, when they still had that when they had the Jordan Brand Classic. The last year, matter of fact, 2018, the last year that they had the Jordan Brand Classic in New York at the Barclays Center, the energy was just dead because they scrapped like everything that they used to have, like the live performances and all that. They scrapped that. Like there was at one point where they had like multiple games, like 3 or 4 games going on. They only limited it to 2 games, and we all saw what happened to that. And then that's another thing I want to talk about.
It's different too, Dave, because you got to look at it like, I don't care what nobody says, man. For 6 years running, the performance of the summer in high school basketball, the best performance by anybody from Isaiah Briscoe to Archie Goodwin that summer to, what the Harrison twins come in and did in New York City with us, to, Dwayne Bacon, to Josh Jackson and all them guys, man. Like, we've had the best performance of the summer by a single basketball player. Every year we had that event. Like, that year, Dwayne come in, like the stuff he was doing, incredible. The reason that Isaiah Briscoe got named must-see TV was because of the Big Strick Classic.
Indeed,
and not like, I'll never forget a couple weeks after we had Big Strick, and all them views went viral and the videos and stuff. Zaya's pops called me George, and he was like, man, you ain't gonna believe this, Bob. Like, Ebony Magazine called me today, and they want to do a story on me and Zay.
Wow.
And so we ain't talking about Sports Illustrated. We ain't talking about, like, now we're getting beyond all that, and we're getting into the culture, and we're getting into something different. And now we're having guys that are featured and stuff like that because of how their reputation blew up based off this one game.
It's crazy.
And like whenever Josh Jackson come in, man, that's the best performance he ever had in high school. Like, this true story, Dave. So after the game, a lot of people, if you look at the videos on YouTube, you'll be like, man, those guys weren't playing defense or whatever. I know because I was sitting on the New York team's bench. I know what them guys were saying. Like, they were over there cussing, trying to figure out a way to stop this joke. You got to keep in mind, he had 12 points at halftime. True story. He has 12 points at halftime. Me and George grabbed Josh at halftime, center court, and I undress him up one side down the other, to the fact, like, he gets so mad, he's got tears in his eyes, and he's like, I got you, coach. He scored 40 points in the second half. He ended up with 52 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists.
That was.
Kowalski comes up to me. Tom comes up to me after the game, He says, Bobby, I want to tell you something. That performance I just witnessed out of Josh, he said, people are going to say whatever, it was an all-star game or whatever. At the high school level, that's one of the 5 best performances I ever seen in person in my life.
Wow.
And this is kind of been around since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in high school. And for him to say something like that about a young fella at one of my events, man, that meant everything. Because I understand the magnitude of who that was coming from.
Yeah. No, man, like that's those hearing words like that, you know what I'm saying? Like that trumps everything. You know what I'm saying? Like no words can compare to what Tom said. Nothing. Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Tom Kuchalski.
You know, there may be somebody out west, something like that, that those guys look at, like we look at Tom out here. Yeah. I just ain't met him.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Tom Kuchalski. He's definitely gonna be missed out here, man. He really is.
I mean, like, forget the basketball, man. Like, an unbelievable man.
Yes, he was.
Like a better man. Like a better man than you could ever describe. Words won't do him justice. Never once did I hear him say anything negative about anybody when it come to anything outside of, like, hey, kid needs work on his jump shot or his handle's a little this. Like, when it comes to just negativity or something like that, I never heard him say anything bad about anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well said. Dude was a class act.
Without question.
But yeah, like another thing I wanted to ask was, like, how did you guys manage to do it? This is one thing that these other events had over y'all. The TV, they had ESPN or whatever, and then they had the sneaker companies. How did you guys manage to succeed without both? How did y'all do it?
Man, I'm gonna tell you this, Dave. When you real and stuff's genuine and come from the heart, man, like, I ain't never needed mainstream to love me, man. The streets have always loved me. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I come from a place, man, to where that means more at the end of the day than that other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because when I walk in the gym and a dude sees me and lights up and daps me up and hugs me and tells me he loves me, that's genuine, man. That's real. Like, it ain't about, man, what I can do for you or this, that, and another, man. I know whenever I walk through them doors and that love that come from them folks, man.
Yeah.
I ain't never needed TV to make me.
Indeed.
Not with Big Strick.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
With the Iverson game and stuff like that, we've had TV, we do that. But so many people get lost in thinking that everything got to be on TV, man. Yeah. The majority of our views come right from the internet and these cell phones at this point in time, man. Mm-hmm. People watch that more than they do actual television. So, I know our motto's working because I know of the millions up on top of millions and millions of views our stuff gets every year. And I ain't talking about 1 or 2 million. I'm talking millions. Like in a 24-month period of time with the Iverson game, we did 100 million views across TV, internet, stream, social media. Ain't nobody touching them numbers. None of them events are coming close to them numbers.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so we were talking about before our intermission. So we were talking about how you continue to prosper without, the commercialism, man. Like, that to me is really big due to the fact that, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people without the corporate sponsors, a lot of entities won't, a lot of things won't survive without corporate. But the fact that you guys held it down for so long, I commend you, Mousy, Don, and Sherman, man. Real talk.
Appreciate that, man. And don't forget too, after year one, Chris Richardson was another partner of ours that come in and made that
Yes,
thing
Chris.
and become what it became. Like, I can't leave Chris out from that. And man, everybody helped make that thing happen the way it happened. From the guys we had driving to the parents that allowed their boys to come in and be a part of this. To the I don't care if it was security, the refs, the scorekeepers, who it was. We can't do this thing by ourselves. We play a role in helping bring it here, but there's so many people that were involved that helped to execute it, man. That at the end of the day, anybody that was ever there in that building and played a part, man, feel proud of what y'all helped make happen.
Indeed, man. Well said. So I know you saw a lot of performances at the Big Strick Classic, but if you were limited to just one, which one was the one that stood out the most out of all of them?
Man, I really can't just choose one. And I'm going to tell you why. What Josh Jackson did there that day was incredible. 52 points, holding the scoring record, 40 in the second half, what Tom said, it speaks for itself. And the crazy thing is Josh said he was going to Jamal Crawford the game before the game, and we caught it on tape, and he really went and did it.
Wow.
Like, he called it.
Yeah,
and,
man.
I would say the other one, would be Isaiah Briscoe's performance. That third year, man, just like the way he had the crowd, he had folks walking onto the court, classic New York City, the electricity, they were down. He brought them back. They ended up winning. He was making all the right plays. He put on a show. Like, it was unbelievable to witness in the moment. Like, it brings you, like, that was the thing that was always so special to me about Big Strick. And, one of my best friends, Pop, business partner, one of my best friends, Christian Popola, we call him Pop, from out in Las Vegas.
My guy, Pop. Shout outs to Pop, man.
Pop's always there with me. I don't care what I'm doing. I could be running a Pee-wee game in Minnesota, and Pop's going to be there with me rocking. And at the end of the day, we always used to talk about it like Big Strick took us back to our roots, to the essence, to the reason we fell in love with the game of basketball. The outside courts, just everything, going to the park, playing in the Gachos gym, just the feeling and the environment. It was so much more like gritty, I guess you would say, or street, however you want to say it. But it reminded me of playing in the park back home on a Sunday afternoon after church got out. We all used to go to the park and run. And if we might run 13 games in a day.
Yeah, man. That's
all that.
They had that feel. Yeah, man. So
for some people, they love it. For some people, maybe it's not their cup of tea. But
yeah,
for me, it brought me back to the reason I fell in love with the game of basketball to begin with. As a young fella, times have changed now. They looking for air-conditioned gyms. As a young fella, all I needed was a basketball, man. I needed the rock. We called it the rock, the peel, whatever it may be. Man, just give me a ball and give me an outside court somewhere I can shoot. And, man, I stay there all day long.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you definitely hit a good point, because these days a lot of kids are not going out to the parks anymore unless there's a tournament going down. But then again, that's just New York.
That's all across America. They don't understand, man, that's where you get your toughness from.
Yeah.
Like going to the park and playing back in the day, whenever you were 14 playing against 22-year-olds, and they were beating up on you, playing against a 28-year-old, 30-year-old, and they were beating up on you. That's what made us real hoopers. Like, because eventually I'm going to get you. I'm going to catch you. And when I catch you, what am I going to do to your neck, man? Ain't nothing you can do with me no more, because I'm so much more younger than you
Mm. Yeah, man. So unfortunately, the Big Strick ended in 2016. You got to bring it back, man. You got to bring it back. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, it has to come back. God wouldn't want it no other way.
You would, and see, this is the thing. I even told Don here a while back. I said, man, if it's nothing but one more, just to say we did it one more time, at some point in time, we're gonna definitely do it, man. This COVID thing got to get out of here first, and we got to do it the right way though. And then that one may lead into 6 or 7 more. I don't know, but it's just something special about it, man.
So now you transition into the Iverson Classic. Talk about what made you, Jay, and Allen put together this grand event.
Man, I tell you what, when Chuck, we call Allen AI, we call him, like, to me, he's just Chuck above a Chuck, right? So when Chuck when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was a situation where, I had met his high school coach, and just from a number of things, we had a number of conversations about different things, and so we went to Philly, and we met with Chuck and his manager, longtime manager Gary Moore, and we had a conversation about doing this Iverson Classic, the Allen Iverson Roundball Classic, and so man, from moment one, whenever myself and Chuck sit down and discuss putting this thing together, man, it was just something we both believed in, and we knew it was time, man. See, like, Dave, a lot of people told me I was crazy, man. Like, a whole lot of people told me I was crazy. They're like, you do understand there's a thing called the McDonald's All-American Game and the Jordan Brand Classic, and then you got the Nike Hoop Summit, and Baller's Life was doing their thing out west early May at the time, and they're like, there's no space, there's no way you'll be able to do this. And man, you know me, Dave, I just told him, I watch me then. And so then I started making calls and putting everything together, and year one we ended up doing it in Virginia. Brought Jay on, man, and did this thing together and created something beautiful. And it's so different from any of the other All-American games. Again, McDonald's, ESPN, Jordan Brand, the ESPN do it the way they do it. We do things the way we do it, and man, we're winning because at the end of the day, like, we're the players' game, man. Like, you don't have a clue, Dave, how many of these kids that have played in all 3 events, or at least 2 of them, like one of the other ones in this Iverson Classic thing, and they walk away talking about, man, this is the best experience I ever had at any basketball event. Like, I've never been a part of nothing like this. Like, these other things do it this way, and I'm being coached by Steven Jackson, and Baron Davis, Larry Hughes, and J.R. Smith, and Jason Tatum's pops is there with us. Great coaches like Keith Gatlin, and Will Bynum, Darius Miles, guy like DeJuan Wagner, like Rasheed Wallace. All these guys coming through, and we're doing what we're doing, man. Deshaun Stevenson, my man, Deshaun, and like all these guys coming through, and we're doing what we're doing. And, next up, Bonzi Wells, and man, it's just so many people that help put this thing together and make it special. Down to my man Pooh that owns Fadance Gym, which Dave, that's the thing about me, man. I'm extremely loyal. So, like, I use the same gym to run my workouts, scrimmages out of every year up there in Philly. Like, once you find something and it works, why try to change it, make it something different? Like, this thing's special just the way it is. And man, again, it's just a different feeling than any of these other events. Again, we ain't go running to a 20,000 seat arena. That wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah.
Why do that when we ain't got to?
Yeah, exactly. And spend a lot of money.
And you go, we go into a place that'll seat 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah.
And we pack it, and the electricity's through the roof. And then when Bubba Chuck comes walking in, and it's funny because everybody's always like, man, where's Chuck? Where's Chuck? And then he'll be sitting outside the whole time just waiting to make his entrance. And like, it's just, I'm telling you, it's a surreal feeling. People don't understand, like, how special this dude is and what it's like to work with him and to do some of this magnitude and the genuine, authentic love that he has for doing this, man, because Dave, you've been there, man. Like, are you getting in it? You ain't getting no speeches from a Hall of Famer after the game, and this dude done teared up and speaking from the heart and giving it to you real the way Chuck is. You ain't getting that from nobody else in the world.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Like, none of these guys on that level are doing that.
Not even Jordan.
Man, come on, man. and I love Michael Jordan, man. Like, he's the GOAT. Him and Kobe, like, them the GOATs. But at the end of the day, like, at the end of the day, it's not the same. Like,
right.
Again, and for some people, they might say it's a little more gritty, a little more street, maybe a little hood or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's authentic.
Real, yeah.
And the kids love the environment, man. You know, I can be me. And like Chuck said it best, like, why are we going to, like, we host awards banquets and dinners just like they do, man.
Yeah.
Why do we want to do that? And you got to put on a three-piece suit. And that wasn't who Bubba Chuck was to begin with while he was playing in the NBA.
Yeah, because, you know, he was the anti-establishment. For real.
We
like,
always talk about it. Like he always says, I took the ass whooping so these guys could do what they do today.
Right.
You know, I took them beatings. So at the end of the day, why would we do it like that when that's not who I am? Like, we're going to keep this thing all the way authentic and real. Like, it's going to be the realest game out there, and that's what it is, man. Like, you ain't going to McDonald's and getting, you know, learning from Steven Jackson and Will Bonham and Darius Miles and these dudes, and not just learning from them, but then, you know, when we start scrimmaging and playing pickup and stuff, man, they get right in there and rock with the young fellas, man.
Yeah.
And we ain't no different, man. The NBA clears us, and we got scouts in the house and all that, teams coming in, man. And you know, some of the performances that have been put on in them gyms have helped these young men open up eyes that have helped to them lead to them being drafted and stuff. There ain't no doubt about it. I've been told it firsthand.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
And we different in the aspect too, man. This ain't about no politics. This ain't about no shoe. Whether you rocking Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, Reebok, New Balance, Converse, like, this ain't about whether you know, play on this circuit or play for this high school team. This ain't about if you're ranked number 1 through 24 on ESPN. We don't look at that, man. We got a process. We vet this thing. We watch a lot of basketball. We got guys in person.
And here's the thing, Allen actually pulls up to the games himself.
Yeah, come on, man.
We all know this personally.
He's there every day. It's not like, hey, I walk in, I'm in there for 30 minutes, I leave and I'm done. He's there every day.
Yeah.
You ain't getting it nowhere else. And, you know, we've had a number of guys that are in the NBA right now. They wasn't playing in no other All-American game.
Yeah, that's true.
But we saw it. We knew it. It wasn't a question of if. Like Kevin Porter Jr., Man, I knew the young fella was a pro when he was in his freshman, for sure, his sophomore year of high school. I knew he was a pro.
Yeah, y'all had like, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 lottery picks that played in this game.
Yeah, we got plenty more than that at this point. Like plenty.
PJ Washington was one. Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man.
Pat Williams.
Oh wow, yeah, him. Trey, did Trey Young play in it?
Man, we've had plenty of them, man. That out the gate, we hit the ground running. Shai, Gilgeous-Alexander. Man, I'm one of the first dudes. Man, I called Shai a pro back in high school, and everybody thought I was crazy.
Look at him now. He got that deal with Converse.
And he's one of the, what would you say, 3-4 best young point guards in the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been done said he was. He ain't playing no McDonald's. He ain't playing no Jordan guy. He was right there in Virginia, Newport News, Hampton, Virginia, in the 757 with us rocking out. Matter of fact, I think he scored 21 or 22 points that day. Like, he got busy. For an all-star game, that's a lot of points.
Yeah. So for all my young guys watching this right now, that just goes to show, just because some of these guys have played in the McDonald's All-American game or the Jordan Brand Classic doesn't mean that that's gonna catapult into success, because it doesn't. Because a lot of these guys that played in these big events, some of them didn't flourish in college, or if they did flourish in college, they didn't last long in the league. Like, man, for example,
it's like we got a young fella. A lot of people thought I was crazy when we invited David Duke Jr. that's at Providence. Man, it might have took him more than 1 year. I don't look at it like your only road to success in the NBA is if you're one and done in college. That's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, David's been at Providence, 3 years now? This is third year?
Yeah. That's just that narrative that's been thrown out there. The older you are, the less the scouts are interested in you. But then again, there are some picks that are older, right?
There's a very good chance that David Duke Jr. is a lottery pick this year, this next coming draft. Like, he, at one point in time, I think he was averaging like 19-6, 19-7 this year.
Mm. Yeah, man.
It's like Cam Thomas. Last year's Allen Iverson National High School Player of the Year, right?
He's definitely going to be a pro for sure. He's definitely going to be an NBA player.
And he's not just going to be an NBA player. He's a guy that's going to get busy at the NBA. He's averaging 22, 23 a game. He would be averaging like 25 a game, but he had one game he played 4 minutes, didn't score a point, registered a 0 on his stat book that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, the young fella be averaging like 24, almost 25 points a game for the season this year as a freshman. Yeah. This is a young fella that didn't make no McDonald's game.
Yeah.
Is the all-time leading scorer in Oak Hill history. But we named the National High School Player, the Allen Iverson National High School Player of the Year, Men's National High School Player of the Year. Like, how is that? Like, you're our National High School Player of the Year because of what you've done, but you don't get into something like this? Come on, makes no sense to me. Yeah, that's why I say, like, when you walk through the door with us, throw them politics out the door, man. Throw that out the window. There's only so many spots, so everybody can't make it.
Right.
But, and sometimes if it come down, I ain't gonna lie, if it come down to a young fella, and I'm like, man, we got 2 of them right here, and I think this young fella's a pro. He ain't playing McDonald's. He ain't playing Jordan. This other one did. We might just roll the dice. If we feel they one in the same, we're going to take the other one. Y'all already got blessed, so we're going to bless this other young fella too. And I feel like at the end of the day, he going to end up the same place this one is anyway.
Yeah, man.
There's a bunch of them like that, man. Like, we're going to be doing our event this year, and we'll be the only All-American game played this year. God willing, COVID don't spike, this, that, no. We'll be the only All-American game played this year in the country out of the major 3. And at the end of the day, man, it's gonna be something special. Like there's some young fellas I got coming in that folks ain't seen, man. Man, throw these rankings out the door right now, too.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. Who's seen enough of them to know who should really be ranked where? But I've watched a lot of basketball. My team's watched a lot of basketball. We've got a unbelievable group of young men coming in for this thing that we feel like is going to be the best year yet for the Iverson game. And, you know, we're going to have a lot of eyeballs. All the eyeballs going to be on us because we're going to be the only show in the country this
year. Yeah, man. It's I know it's definitely going to be crazy. So, I was going to bring up. So, Allen, I remember the last Iverson Classic I was at, you know, I want to say, because when we were all in the locker room, I'll never forget this. When you said 25 years ago, at that time, 1994, he wasn't able to play in the McDonald's All-American game. 25 years later, he has his own game, which I find that fitting. I sometimes wonder if Allen had it not been for that situation in the bowling alley during Allen's junior year, how like, and the McDonald's All-American game was in New York his senior year, how crazy that would have been.
And they talking about Felipe Lopez, and I love Felipe. Don't get me wrong, man. But we all know Bubba Chuck was different, man.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder.
I've got tons of old games here at the house.
You got to show them someday. You
Dave,
have to.
I've got tons of old games here at the house. Man, I can't put them on YouTube.
You got to, man. I tell you, the general public need to see it.
This stuff.
I know, but you got to, man.
We got to find something special to do with this.
Yeah, but no,
man. But when I tell you what I've got, like Dave, you've never seen nothing like this little joker in high school. I'm talking like his junior year. He's 31. What was it? 31, 11, and 10.
Yeah, and he was doing this thing on the football field.
Triple-double.
Yeah.
And if you hear him, he'll tell you he was better at football than basketball. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, man. He won, I think, Player of the Year in both football and basketball, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. The only one that I know that actually has come close to that in recent years is Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. Like, I was in Minnesota about a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
There's another dude that's actually from the same area back in the day that won National High School basketball he was the McDonald's All-American Player of the Year, Morgan Wooten Player of the Year.
Ronald Curry,
man. And I'm telling you, from a pure athlete standpoint, would never see another Ronald Curry. Like, was something different. Like, if he would have just, I feel like he could have made it in basketball just like he did in football. He ended up playing for the Raiders and had a good career, and some injuries cut it short. But I feel like if he would have at some point in time just focused and dedicated himself solely to one or the other, he could have been, like in football, he could have been an all-time great, no question. And I think he could have been a real good pro in basketball as well.
So, yeah,
like his high school coach told me that, in his opinion, and this is one of the most legendary football coaches ever, like ever. And his high school coach a couple months ago told me that, like, for him, he feels like Ronald Curry could have been the best ever in football. If he would have just put a basketball down and played football, focused solely on that, he said Ronald Curry could have been the best ever, no doubt. And I believe him in that. I truly do. And it's crazy to say considering what Tom Brady's done, but like, I do believe him in that because I respect this man, who he is to the game of football. Like, this is what he's been doing at a high level for a long, long, long time. He's seen them. He's produced many, many pros, and like, he knows.
Well,
he knows. Like, I feel like I know when I see this basketball thing. Like, I can see. Like, I remember the first time, for instance, this is like Rook, Jalen Lecque. Like, none of these major events knew who, scouting services and stuff knew who he was before he played in Big Strick.
Yeah, not until later. That
Not until
one summer where he blew up with Southern Stampede, that was like the coming out party.
Mm-hmm. And the thing was, Dave, I told Ike from New York.
Shout out to Ike Gary, man.
Man, I told Ike when I saw him at Big Strick, like there's no doubt, like he got a chance to be a pro. Like at the end of the day, I'm not counting one right now, this minute, but he's got every tool to end up playing this game at the highest level, and look where he is now. And Big Strick was the first major event that this young fella ever played in.
Yeah, that's about right.
I'd seen enough of him and some stuff that they had sent. They had sent me probably, I'd say 30 minutes worth of different footage on him, right? And I watched him and I watched it and I watched it over and over and over. I said, man, it's no doubt, we're going to give you a young fella a chance to come in and rock out. And, gave him the invite to Big Strick, man, and he come in, did his thing, and boom. Next thing you know, he's blowing up. They're comparing him to all the guys they did. At the end of the day, is he going to end up being that? I don't know. Only he knows how hard he was, what he's willing to do. But I do know, he made it, and he's living out his dream right now, playing in the NBA.
Most definitely. Shout outs to Rook, man. I'm happy for him. Now, let's talk about, the Iverson Classic in the Bluff, which you guys had in December in Bartlett, Tennessee. Talk about that.
So it's Memphis, Tennessee. It was in Memphis at Bartlett High School. Year one, Iverson Classic Battle in the Bluff. So it's a battle in the Bluff, and Memphis is known as the Bluff City. I am from Tennessee. Steven Jackson came in and was the face of this thing, along with this Iverson Classic brand year one. We've actually already announced it. Showtime Basketball come in, and Showtime Basketball come in as a presenting partner with us. Help make this thing unbelievable. Took it to a level we would actually. It was the first ever basketball event associated with Showtime Basketball. So, I mean, just think of how big that is. That's like why I say, when I say what I do, Dave, like, man, ESPN, yeah, if they want to talk, man, let's rock.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not the end of anything. It's like, with the Iverson Classic, when we were the first ever live event on one of the major streaming platforms / TV and Sling TV. Nothing like that had ever been done before we did. We were the first time ever we did it. Same thing here. So we're the first, basketball event with Showtime, and doing some great things. It's just going to continue to build on that relationship we have there. We've already announced we're going to do part 2 of the Battle in the Bluff. But, man, the Battle in the Bluff was personal for me, Dave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm from here, man. Like, Tennessee's my home. It was the first major event I've ever put on, man. Like, when my brothers were there with me, man. My brother Monty Mayberry, my brother Keith Mayberry, they were in the house with me. We had family there. We had a lot of pros. Steven Jackson obviously being the face of it, but dudes like Mac Barnes and my man Tracy McGrady came through and come in and rock with me. My man DeJuan Wagner came, him, his pops, Milt Wagner, DJ Wagner, my partner Reem, all of them. They drove all the way down from Camden, New Jersey, and Philly to come down and support and show us love. Bonzi Wells, Jeff McGinnis, Rasheed Wallace, Tony Allen, Mike Miller came through one night, which I don't have the same relationship with him that I had with these other dudes. But, you know, he come out to show love and support this thing. And, you know, legends from the city of Memphis, man, like Tony Harris, my dude, that played at UT. And a lot of people used to compare to AI back in the day, come out of East High, former McDonald's All-American in the class of 97. Averaged about 26, 27 a game his senior year at East High. A lot of people were talking about him being one and done after his freshman year at University of Tennessee. I think he was the SEC Newcomer of the Year that year. I don't want to misspeak, but I'm almost positive he was. Like there was a lot of draft talk, and you know, Tony's just an unbelievable dude, man. Like we did some great things while we were there with the battle on the Bluff in the Binghamton neighborhood, Leicester Community Center, and whatnot, where Tony's at. We gave away community breakfasts and, you know, shoes to underprivileged youth and stuff. And Dave, that was one of the things with doing this event. And yeah, you know, I tell people I am Tennessee all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my home. This is where I'm from. This is the place. Like, man, I've done a lot of things all over the country. I've done events here before, but, you know, my partner Vontae Holmes down here, you know, shout out to Vontae, man, head coach at East High School down here, that coach James Wiseman, number 2 pick in the NBA draft, playing with the Warriors now. You know, Vontae and me were talking right around the time that this COVID thing hit, and he was like, man, Bob, man, you got to come home now. Like, you got to bring something back to Tennessee, bring something back here special, man. And so then he connected me with Dion Real, the head coach there at Bartlett. And man, me and Dion just clicked. Yeah, you know, from the first conversation we ever had, me and Dion clicked. And so we started building this thing, putting it together, man. And, you know, something beautiful happened down there. And then with us, my thoughts always going into it were bigger than the game of basketball, right? Like, I watch a lot of cats all across America and down this way where I'm from. I watch a lot of dudes, and I've never considered myself like an event organizer or anything like that, man. I'm an entrepreneur at the end of the day, you know. We were talking about George Briscoe earlier.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
yeah, you saying, yeah.
George used to call me First 48 because, you know, a lot of times you hear the city of Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the city of Memphis, and first thing that pop in their head is just, hey, it's a rough city. It's the crime, the this, the that, the drugs, so many negative things you hear about it. And I wanted to help paint a picture of the beauty. Like, I'm a firm believer there's beauty in the struggle out here in life. So, you know, whenever you see people that are down, that might need some help, this, that, no, don't keep on kicking them out. Help pick them up. And so I started building this thing out with a vision that I see all these guys come in and do stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I see them. The only thing I ever see them do is they come in and they run something. They bring a Montverde, IMG, and Oak Hill, something like that. They'll come down here, play, and they take out of the community, but they never invest anything back into the community.
That's deep. Yeah, that's true.
So with me and us,
So yeah, you were saying, Bobby?
where do you want me to start that day?
Yeah, you were saying about how how a lot of the events they bring the teams out, but yet don't give back to the community.
Yeah, man, I see them come in here and they bring some of these Montverde, IMG, Oak Hill, whoever it may be, and these guys will come in and they'll hold something in this state, in the city of Memphis. this state
Right.
where I'm from. And I see them come into the community and they take out of the community. They take away from the community, but they never invest anything back into the community. So our thought process, like from day one, my vision was so much bigger than basketball. And so when I went to Stack with it, Steven Jackson, obviously we already got a relationship. Like the moment I said everything to him, he just believed in it. He's like, man, with everything that I represent and I've been, preaching ever since, George Floyd was tragically murdered, like this all lines together. And then, Jay, Dion Real, Vontae, my partner Pop, all these other NBA guys that I talked to them that came in, like just from day one, like we were all on the same page and believe it was time for something different like this. And, so we did a lot that you never see associated with basketball events like this. Like we gave away Christmas dinners. We gave away, turkeys. We gave away entire dinners. We gave away, community breakfasts. We gave away shoes to underprivileged youth in the community. We did some stuff. We gave the Tennessee Prep basketball team stuff, like just on and on and on. And we took boys. I say boys, but I really mean young men, man, because I don't like the word boys. We took these young men over a couple of the teams over to the National Civil Rights Museum. And I feel like in life, how are you going to know where you're headed? Like a lot of these young men are like going to be the future leaders through sports. Like they're going to have powerful voices.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be our future leaders in our communities, both on and off the court. So in life, how are you ever going to know where you're headed unless you know who paved the way for you to get to where you're at today? And so
that's bars right there.
There's so much history inside the National Civil Rights Museum that directly reflects back to these young men and where they come from and that struggle, man, to where I felt like it was just something we had to do, man.
Yeah.
Looking at the times, looking at what we've been through in the last year plus since this COVID thing hit, and been going, truth be told, it never stopped. We've been going through it for years, man, years and years and years. It's just, they paint over it, they cover it up, man. Man, it's time. Hey, it's not time to put a Band-Aid over this thing anymore. It's time to let it be known. It's time for a change. It's time for things to be different.
I agree with you 100%.
So, Dave, where other folks are scared to do that because of what somebody might say or might think about them, I'm not. We're not. As a collective group, we're not. So that's the reason we did that. And I've all the way back, like, to we were talking about Big Strick, man. Like, I'm going to get love from these streets. And, people want to be associated with something they feel is real and genuine as opposed to something they feel is fake.
Absolutely, 100%.
We didn't have one single hiccup, man. Shout out to Bartlett High School, man. Like, I've been doing stuff for a long time out here, done a lot of different events and stuff like that, right? And been to a lot of events outside of my own, and by far the best people I ever had to work with. Like, just make sure everything's running like clockwork, smooth, brand new facility. It was finished in November. Beautiful 3,000-seat gymnasium. I mean, just like a perfect scenario. It all went so well that, from before it was over, we were already having the talks like, you ain't got to say nothing else. We're doing this again next year, same time, same place, same everything. The only thing that'll change will be hopefully we'll be able to have more fans, and some of the teams may be a little bit different. But besides that, we're doing this thing all over again.
Yeah, next year, hopefully, God willing, I will be there too to capture everything. That's the plan. I always wanted to go to Memphis. You know, COVID this year, like throughout COVID, I've been to South Carolina, Atlanta, Minneapolis in 2-degree weather, Dallas. You know what I'm saying? But I want to go. I want to come out to Memphis. That's one of my goals. Like Memphis, Chicago, Miami, LA. Those are a couple of the cities that I really want to check out.
And I'm telling you, Dave, like Memphis is different, man. Great food, great this, so much history. You know, we got the Blues Hall of Fame, different things. Memphis in May. There's so much that's makes this place great.
Yeah.
You know, whenever people try to paint that picture a certain kind of way, man, I just laugh, man, because again, I see a lot of beauty. And back to, you know, just everything. That community aspect was so special, man. And I don't want this to ever come off as like tooting our own horns or anything like that. But, you know, all that give back. And then we found some families right there at the same time, man, that where I'm not going to name no names, but.
Yeah, it's cool. Protect the innocent.
you know, we found some families that, you know, one lady house been done burned down.
Oh, God.
4 kids, you know, one mama got three kids already, one on the way. No Christmas gonna happen. And man, we step right in there and we make sure, hey, Christmas happens. You know, one of the more amazing parts of the battle in the Bluff, again, like I told you, was having my family there, my 2 brothers there. Unfortunately, in November, my brother Eric Mayberry passed away. So we had his kids there with us, Noah and Elena, and you know, like Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, like took them shopping for Christmas, and Noah's birthday happened to be the same day, and you know, it was the experience of a lifetime for him. And you know, I know my brother was looking down from up above, smiling because you know, just the relationships again you cultivate and you build off this thing. And whenever you're doing good, like good comes back to you, man. People always look to be repaid immediately, this, that, and other. Man, I've done a lot of good in my life and hadn't received anything in return in the moment. But then you look back years later and like I can put, you know, people I care about in situations around these type people. And for them to do things like that for them, man, it means the world to me.
Yeah, man, that's really dope. Rest in peace, Ed Mayberry, man. I love what you got. I'm sorry, Eric Mayberry. Rest in peace, Eric Mayberry. Like, shout outs to you guys for doing all that for his kids. That was beautiful right there. You know.
But then, hey, at the end of the day, Dave, you know, this is my thing. I'm not just doing it for his kids. I'm doing it for family, man. You know, that was my brother.
Yeah. Most definitely. Now, also one of the things I also loved about the Battle of the Bluff was the fact that, you know, a lot of the hidden gems came out to ball out. Like Rob Dillingham, I got to see him twice when I was in South Carolina. Love that kid. And J.D. Davison, like the kid Nick in the Cut. Shout outs to him. He filmed two of his games at the Battle of the Bluff. You know, I love watching that documentary. Like, talk about J.D. Davison. Like that dude is gonna be special.
He's got a chance, man. He's got a legit chance, Dave. Like that, there's an opportunity that, you know, JD plays this game at the highest level for an extremely long time. He's like any young fella at this age, man. He's got some things he needs to work on, but it's there. It's there for the taking at this point. Like the sky's the limit. He can be anything he wants to. It's up to him now. Same thing with Robert Dillingham, man. And, you know, Robert's in great hands at this point. You know, playing for Coach Jeff McGinnis, man, there's not a better situation in America he could be in right now than where he's at right now. I'm telling you, like, that situation over there that Jeff has with Combine, man, them young men are special to have that man in his life because he's teaching them this thing from the highest level. Like, he's done it. He's walked in every shoe they want to walk in from every level. And, man, all they got to do is pay attention and listen to everything he says in a way from the structure on being on time to down to a point to where, like, if these young fellas get up to go to the bathroom, man, they going together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that in like a negative or anything.
No,
like,
it's unity. It's unity.
That unity when they walk in the building, the way they carry themselves, this, that, and another. Like, I'm telling you, he's doing an unbelievable job with these young men. And in this social media driven world we live in today, that's the hardest thing, is to get them on the same page together like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Down to, Keontae George, who
another gem. Another gem that I didn't talk about. Keontae George.
But I'm gonna tell you this, man. And I'm telling you, like, the kid, the young fella Knox from Bartlett.
Yeah.
Night one, there wasn't a single kid in the city of Memphis at the time with a University of Memphis offer, right? And he scored 38 points against J.D. Davis in night one, playing for the whole school, Bartlett, coached by Deion Real, who, keep in mind, another unbelievable coach, man. Like, you won't find too many in America like him. Like, coaches both sides of the ball, the job he does with them young men, like, he gets everything out of them that he can.
Mm.
Everything there's to get out of him, he gets out of them. Knox scored for 38 points night one. He's getting a phone call from Penny and an offer. A couple weeks later, he's committing to the University of Memphis. So now, we've give to the community off the court, and then we gave back to the community. And, one of our own chosen ones from the city of Memphis, because this event happens, walks out of there with a University of Memphis offer and is committing to the University of Memphis within weeks. So now we're providing those opportunities on the basketball court as well. Otherwise, if he hadn't played and did what he did against J.D. Davison and not had games of that magnitude all year long, would there even have been a kid in the city of Memphis still to this day with an offer? Probably not.
Wow, that's remarkable right there. And the local kid gets that offer. Yeah, man, that's big.
Like, one of my favorite kids in America, he actually enrolled early.
Jordan Nesbitt.
At the University of Memphis. Man, I'm telling you, I love Jordan Nesbitt. Like, I was messing with Steven Jackson before the event. I said, like, I got the high school version of you that's going to be here with St. Louis Christian. He's like, for real. So I started sending him footage early on of Jordan and whatnot. He's like, man, I love this young fella. And this goes back to, again, to what I say, man, these rankings don't mean nothing. Like, Jordan's 6'7", 210, 215, and plays both sides of the ball, can score it. But just what he does on defense, what he does as a teammate, his passing ability, the way he picks his teammates up, the way he claps his hand and sits down, and just he's a leader through and through. Like, I think he's a mixture of like Jimmy Butler and Steven Jackson, and I think at the end of the day, man, that kid's a dog, like all heart, and I feel like the way he approaches this thing is going to take him a long, long way. And we're going to see him playing at the highest level one day. I truly believe that. And this is a kid, they barely got ranked in the top 50 in that class. But I'm telling you, we'll see him playing in the NBA one day. And just a special talent. Like, yeah, there are players that are probably better. There are players that are more talented. But if he would have stayed in that 2021 class, he's one of my top 5 favorite young men in America in that class to watch play, just because of the way he approaches the game.
Absolutely.
Like, I love him.
Yeah, man.
And a great young man too. Like, man, just a great young man, great young fella.
Indeed. So, moving forward with the event, You guys have a 15-minute documentary called "Ain't Done Nothing." For those who haven't seen it, what can they expect?
Man, just I would say it's called "Ain't Doing Enough," and you know, it's powerful, man. It paints a picture. It shows. It shows part of the journey in Memphis, but it was done to paint a bigger picture.
Mhm.
It was done to show you know that message we're really trying to get out there. And for anybody, if you love basketball and you love what we as a collective group represent, and I'm not just talking about myself, I'm talking about everybody involved, from guys like obviously Chuck to you know Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, down to T-Mac, down to Rashid, Bonzi, Jay, you know, Coach Real, Mike Miller, Tony Harris, Jeff McGinnis, Tony Allen, Dewan Wade, any of those guys that came through, man. If you love what we represent, man, just watch this thing. I mean, it's special. It really is. You know, it's impactful.
So this is one of the questions. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry,
Dave. There's not very much, like, we move so different over here. There's nobody in America really doing things the way we're doing them. Here and there, you'll find an NBA guy that'll put their name on something, but you don't see them.
that is true.
Like Steven Jackson's there every day. He's involved in everything. You know, from Baron Davis, a part of this thing with us too. Baron was a part of it. And, you know, Baron run up in the sent a ton of stuff from Black Santa and giving Has No Season to his companies that, you know, he's promoting. I mean, we're passing out boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes of stuff. Steven Jackson's running up in the crowd and giving stuff to fans and kids and stuff. Like, you don't see that. This is a legend. And he's acting no different than if a 5-year-old kid was running up in the stands passing this stuff out. You know, another one. I don't know if I didn't send you that flyer yet, like the movie poster that they sent us earlier. But you know, Anthony Edwards with the Minnesota Timberwolves was also involved in the project as well as a producer. So, you know, shout out to Ant Man. We feel like he's going to be Rookie of the Year when it's all said and done, and going to have a special career.
Yeah, man. Even though he didn't have the best performance, he won everybody over in one game, I should say. He still had that crazy dunk.
Oh my goodness. Ooh. Hey, that brought back shades of Tracy McGrady on Sean Brown.
Yo.
Back some of those memories. You know, Kobe on Yao Ming type stuff. Like, that was special. But, you know, overall, again, no major event has ever had anything associated like this documentary we released today associated with it. So, you know, we're just moving in different circles. You know, everybody else going right. We're headed down the road on the left, and we're going to keep on doing this stuff, man. And like, every move we make is bigger than the last move we made.
Most definitely. So this is one of the questions that I love to ask before I lead up to the final question. If you could go back in a time machine to 2011, what would you tell a younger Bobby as he's going through the transition of putting together the franchise classic?
Honestly, I wouldn't have changed anything, Dave. I wouldn't have told myself anything different than what I did, because see, this has always came from right here. Like I'm just built different than most, man. And I know that. Like, I don't say that to like brag or beat my chest. I know I'm built different. And so I wouldn't tell myself anything any different, because I always listen to my heart and let it lead me in the right direction. Man, if things worked out the way they're supposed to work out, if I don't make some of the moves or some of the mistakes I've made here and there, man, I ain't sitting here where I'm at today.
Well said.
And that's just me being real.
Mm-hmm. Final question. What's next in the future for Bobby Bates and the Iverson Classic and IMBE?
Man, we're always working on stuff. So I promise you, there's some things that we're working on that we can't necessarily discuss right now. You do know what NDAs are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, paperwork. I understand.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it's got to be big if I'm mentioning that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on some stuff that could really be groundbreaking, and you know, they could get a lot of attention. And we're just gonna keep on doing God's work, man. Like, at the end of the day, that's what I want to do, God's work. You know, my cousin Bodie, man, out there in Kansas City, shout out cousin Bodie. You know, he tells me, man, all the time, just listen to God, and you may have a plan one day, God may change that plan tomorrow. Just listen to him and go down the road he tells you to go down, and everything gonna work itself out. And I believe that. Like, I wholeheartedly believe that, and feel like, you know, as long as I'm doing right, man, any move I make will be a good move. We're definitely gonna have the Iverson Classic. Look forward to it coming back in May. You know, we typically do it into April. We're gonna do it 1st of May this year, just to buy us a little more time, Dave, to see, make sure this COVID thing continues to trend downward, and that way we can safely execute, because it's not just about, hey, we're going to have this event and then not do it the right way. Like, we're going to protect these young men, we're going to make sure they're safe, we're going to do things the right way, but at the end of the day, we're going to do everything we can to execute and make it something that these young men are telling their kids about one day.
Indeed. Bobby, thank you for coming on to share your testimony, brother. And I wish you, IMBE, and the Iverson Classic nothing but the best moving forward.
I appreciate that, Dave. Again, man, it's been all love for, you know, a decade now, man. Over a decade now. So just make sure you're in the house for the Iverson Classic, man. Like it's coming, and I promise you, it's gonna be bigger than ever. And you know, Dave, you had saw I'd sent you a lot of that stuff, like some of those tributes and things we were going to do to, you know, honor Kobe as well. Like, there are going to be things we'll be doing off the court at this year's event, but all that stuff we're going to be doing this year, and you know, to help honor the late great Kobe Bryant, man, who we love dearly. And you know, it's going to be a special event, and you know, you'll want to be in the building the night of the Iverson Classic All-American game. I can promise you that it'll be a show and something to remember for a long time.
Indeed. Well, everybody, this is episode 108 of Hoops Talk with Dave Joint. Shout outs to my guy, Bobby Bates. He's doing a lot of incredible things with, you know, his native state of Tennessee, with the Iverson Classic, and more.
Dave, another thing too.
Go ahead.
But we are planning on, outside the battle in the Bluff, there have been talks we might do something with Stack in Port Arthur, potentially where he's from, and working on some stuff with Tony Allen and Will Bynum as well. So those are a couple things I can tell you that.
No, it's cool. Don't worry about it. You've already said enough. But nah, yeah, most definitely. Like, I'm gonna definitely check those out too when the time comes, you know. But yeah, for those that definitely want to see what the Battle in the Bluff was all about, go on YouTube right now and check out ain't done enough on Showtime Basketball. It takes 15 minutes out of your day or night to go check out that great documentary. But also for those of you that support my man Bobby Bates, go check out this interview on our YouTube page, Facebook, and IGTV. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.
Appreciate it.